Aloha, 6th grade. Happy Hawaiians Day. More importantly, happy Freya's Day. Hope you're doing well. We got kind of a big lesson, so let's dive right in. L112, percent word problems. Please write down what you see. The dinner bill was $40. John wanted to leave a 15% tip. What should he tip? Hopefully you've had experiences with at least watching your parents tip, maybe even tipping yourself. 15% would be kind of the low end nowadays, so I would definitely encourage you, if you were happy with your service, you should be up around 20% nowadays is where the normal people are, and you could even go more if you want, especially, maybe once we reopen. Yeah, tip heavily because they've been having trouble. Okay, so one simple way we can deal with tip is you take the amount of the bill, $40, and you're going to multiply it by some sort of form of the 15%. You could go decimal, which we know it would be 0.15, right? Now, I'm always someone looking ahead, and I'm actually going to flip this to reflect this situation. We know by the commutative property that should be the same. And the reason why is it allows me to kind of tag that 0, get it away right away. Then I can focus on my 4 and go 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 1 times 4 is 4 plus the 2, 6. Then decimal placement, boop, boop. And therefore I could say $6 tip. Nice and simple with dealing with tip. So if you go 20%, you can always just take 10% of something and then just double that. So $40, 10% is $4 and double that at 8. Much easier, actually, and better, really. Tipping is karma. Right. All right. Let's do this one. A $110 watch was discounted by 40%. What is the sale price? Now, we've discussed discount before. Remember, discount is going to be the amount that they'll subtract from the original price. So we use subtraction when concepts of discount. However, with dealing with percents, we're always using multiplication. So this time, instead of going decimal route, I'm going to go fractional. And instead of I'm thinking about cross-canceling opportunities. I'm not even going to fully reduce. So I'm going to go with 4/10. I know that that's exactly equal to 40%. I then multiply it by my $110 watch, and that gives me that nice cross-canceling, so this 10 will become a 1, and that 110 will become 11. And then I'm multiplying across, and I get 44, right? Now, really I hope you have your own consumer experiences, that you realize that, look, I'm not paying $44 for the watch. This represents my discount. And that's what we have to think about, because what they want to know is, well, what's the sale price? And the sale price would be me taking the original price of 110 and then subtracting off my discount. So what I do is I go, okay, 110 minus the 44, borrow, and you should come out on the end of 66. Now the $66 would be my sale price. Now you might wonder, hey, do I have to do it in 2 parts? And we're actually going to see that idea. No, actually you don't. So another way of dealing with this is, if you think about the 40%, they're going to discount that. So if the original watch is 100% of the watch and they discount 40%, how much of the watch am I paying? Well, we'd have to say that you're paying 60% of the original price, right? And so I can take that 110, I'll go decimal on the 60% at 0.6, and then I could multiply that by the 0.6, obviously 0, 6, 6, decimal placement, boop, and guess what? I end up with the same amount that I came the other way. So I think it's kind of good, especially as you're moving briskly towards 7th grade, of finding those ways. It's just a slightly more efficient, taking things that you maybe did in 2 parts. Oh, I do this, and then I do this, and then I get this, and doing them all in 1 part. You can't always do it, but sometimes you can. So we see that we get the same price for doing it in 1 part, and I want to kind of build upon that idea. Let's look at this situation. Diana deposited $200 in a bank account, earning 5% simple interest per year. Now, simple, basically what we talk about is the amount that she turned in. What we're interested in, well, how much does she have after 1 year? That's our question. So simple interest has its own formula. It's this, I equals PRT, and I'd love for you to be a little bit familiar with that. Now, the $200 represents what we call our P. The P stands for principal. It's got nothing to do with Mr. Watson, I promise. The principal is the money that you deposit. However, the same concept also comes up when you borrow money. Like, let's say you had to borrow money, like a loan. So they might apply a simple interest formula to that. In this case, we're clearly depositing Diana. It says she deposited. Now the R is this 5%. R stands for rate, or what we call the interest rate. And the interest rate is always given to us in a percent. Yeah. And then the last would be the T. Well, T stands for time. And time is always given in years, unless you're told otherwise. Always consider time in years. So when going about plugging in, I'd say, okay, so I equals my principal, and I know my principal is this $200, times the rate. Now I have to turn that into some other form. I'll go decimal, 0.05. And then last is the T. Well, I want to know after 1 year. And then doing this math, I go, okay, so 200 times 0.05, tagging, or not really tagging, but 0 times 0, 2 times 5, decimal placement, boom, boom. And that means that I got $10. Well, $10 is the interest gained. It's not how much she has in her account, because if she did, my Lord, that would be horrible. Putting in 200 bones, and at the end of a year, there's only $10 left. So what would we have to do? Well, we'd have to take that 200, her original principal, her deposit, add the 10 to name her balance at 210. But again, wasn't that a two-part affair? We found in our little bag A, we found our interest gained, and then we did bag B where we added the two in order to get to that third part, 210. Can we do it in one fell swoop? We can. And the whole idea, and this is really where I want you to focus. If I take this $200, instead of just multiplying by 0.05, 1.05, what will happen is this 1 will account for my original principal, because $200 times 1 is $200. So when I do the work here, obviously it would be 0. I'm focused on that 500. 2 times 5 is 10. I'm going to skip that second row, so I'll tag 2 zeros. And now I'm focused on the 1, so that's going to be 0, 0, 2. And when I add this baby up, I end up here. Decimal placement has me here. And guess what? $210. It's the same. And again, looking for that one-stop shop, I think, is a really good thing. Hopefully I've modeled that for you, and hopefully you'll carry that model on throughout your life. Hey, let's do this one. After an 8% sales tax, Marcelo paid $21.33 for a game. What was the price of the game before tax? Now, you know I love word problems. We're going to take this through the 4 steps. So our first step would be, so obviously this is our important information. After the 8% tax, he paid $21.33. They want to know the original price of the game before tax. So that's where I'm going to start. I'll say P equals the price before tax. So that's step 1, we set a variable. Step 2 is we'll create an expression for the other using the same variable. And again, considering this idea that we just looked at, this 1.05 instead of just 0.05, we're going to bring that in right now. So if I'm interested in what was the price after the tax, well, that tax is that 8%. So I'm going to go, well, here's my original price before tax. I'm going to multiply it by not just 0.08, but 1.08, because that will be my price, right? Then I move on to step 3, where I form an equation using the remaining data. What's the remaining data? Obviously this 21.33, which represents the price after tax. I have an expression for the price after tax. That's my 1.08p. So it makes sense for me to make it equal to 21.33. I'll divide both sides by 1.08. And again, this is where, with almost a month ago, a little bit less, are you there? Are you ready to go on to 7th grade? You know what? Whichever textbook you end up with, it's going to expect that you can divide decimals, you can multiply decimals, you can add fractions, you can divide fractions, mix numbers, who cares? Everything that we've been working on. Everything that you always are practicing in your homework. And are you doing your homework? Are you having to look in your notes? Is someone coming in, flying in to try and support you? The expectation is that you can do these things, and Saxon gives you ample opportunities. So again, something like this, 21.33 divided by 1.08, I need you as a 6th grader soon to put on that 7th grader cap and be like, yeah, no problem. However, looking at your tests, it sometimes is a problem. Work on this skill. Fix it. Master it. It is masterable. Clearly, I can't do my division yet. I'd have to move my decimals here, and if I do it there, I do it here. Some of you are making up where the decimal goes. Don't make it up. It exists. Then I'm going to start to do my work. Now, I know 108 times 2 would be 216, so that's too much. There's my decimal, clearly. I'll extendo because I'm going to need it. So 108 goes into 213 just once. And again, that spacing is so important. So I'll subtract off my 108, and I should get, without a problem, 105, because a sixth grader can get there. Now I'm going to bring down this 3, and then this is where I'm like, well, I'm not sure, but what about if I try times 9? That seems a little realistic. 8 times 9, 72, carry 972. Oh, that looks good. So I'll put my 9. I'll subtract off that 972. Nice and careful. Everything's being spaced well, and I should no problem get 81. I tag another 0. All been modeled to you. 108. What if I did it times 7? What do I get here? I get 756. That seems right. I'll put the 7, 756. I should subtract, no problem, get 54. Tag another 0. Bring it down. 108. What if I tried times 5? 5. P equals $19.75. And my friends, that was the price before tax. And then, yeah. But do you see what I mean? Everything we do is practicable. Everything. And if people are swooping in, if you're having to look up your notes, if you get it wrong but you check that it was right, these are all things that you are expected to know how to do. And I promise you, whichever textbook you end up with next year, they are difficult. And you need to work hard for your math. I hope that we've laid a good foundation for you. And I hope that you have a wonderful Hawaiian day. Aloha. There is no official homework being assigned. Bye-bye.